What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Espresso, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. This one, we're going to do something a little bit different, taking the 5 Things That Changed series and flipping it around a bit. We're not doing anything specific with Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, nothing like that, but instead we're going to be taking a look at 5 of the biggest changes throughout the history of the Call of Duty franchise in this one today. So that said, if you guys enjoy it, drop a like down below, and of course, leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. If you guys have any changes you want to see featured in, say, a follow-up episode, if you guys want that. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything for the 5 things that changed here on the channel. So that said, let's jump right into it here. Let's just kick it off with our first one. The first change we're going to be talking about here today deals with sprinting in Call of Duty. Now, the change here dealing with this one is that sprinting was not actually initially in Call of Duty. It was something that, in terms of recent years, we probably would never think about because it's been something that's so integral to the movement, to how the gameplay plays out within every single Call of Duty every single year. But that was actually something that sprinting was introduced in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare back in 2007. Previously, before that, in COD 3 and before then, it was all similar to what is now comparable of the CSGO movement, where players had the same consistent basis of a walking speed. Players couldn't move at a faster pace, and in COD 4, players could increase their movement then for the first time by a movement of 50% of the standard. So that means you'd be running at 150% of the normal speed in-game for Modern Warfare. Before, you only could go 100%, it was a walking brisk pace here with this, and the feature obviously is carried over into all Call of Duty games since, and would extremely hinder the pace of the game if it was ever considered to be rolled back here. Now, I think this is something that's fantastic. It's become something that shaped the game into a more faster paced game. If you go back and try and play some of the older ones, COD 3 and some of the earlier games are backwards compatible on Xbox One if you don't have your original systems. It's something that if you try and play that, it definitely does feel way slower, and if it's something where a grenade's at your feet, well, chances are you're not getting away from that one. So this is something that I think was a massive change to the game, and overall was something that was a great addition to make it and make the movement system a lot faster, and therefore making the game play a lot faster and better. The second change here up on the list today is going to deal with the time periods. This is something that, especially as of recently, some people have majorly spoke out against, and something that people wish that we'd go back to Modern Warfare times or something a little bit therefore earlier, World War II, Vietnam, whatever it may be, but pretty much Call of Duty has gone through every single time frame. Initially, Call of Duty was started in development with Call of Duty 1 all the way back in World War II. Now, for a couple of years at that point, it was then something that it was consistently World War II, and it was a basis around the FPS genre that World War II was a big fascination. A lot of people were making games for World War II settings, and then Call of Duty once again broke the mold and made a Modern Warfare game, a game that was based on pretty much the everyday life that we had lived in at that point in time, and the weaponry around it, and a story constructed to make players feel like they were in an everyday modern war. So the first change of pace and time period was from World War II to modern day. Then we went back with Black Ops to the Vietnam era, with spurts ranging from the 50s all the way up until the 70s. And then once again, we had another Modern Warfare edition with Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Black Ops 2 took it slightly to the future. Advanced Warfare took us a little bit further into the future. And then, as we know now, Infinite Warfare is set in the far future here. So we've covered pretty much the entire broad spectrum of time periods, time frames, starting back in the 1940s with the World War II setting, and then we've gone far into the future with Infinite Warfare. That whole range is now pretty much covered, and therefore makes this a large change from where we began. That said, that's going to move us into the third change here with this one dealing a little bit with score streaks. Now, this is a change that has altered a couple of times within the Call of Duty franchise as a whole. Initially, kill streaks weren't anything that were actually a thing in the multiplayer of the initial Call of Duties. Once again, Call of Duty 4 introduced this as a brand new feature with Modern Warfare, and it has since been something that has been there every single year since then, but changed in some alterations very slightly. But overall, it's still a reward for players doing something here. The first big change, though, was the fact that it was not in the original Call of Duty back in 2003, back in all the way up until 2007 with COD 4. COD 4 was the first game that released kill streaks and therefore only had 3, 5, and 7, UAV, airstrike, and a helicopter. That is something that was then emulated and brought over into World at War the next year, which was a spy plane, mortar strike, and then dogs for the 357 respectively. Now, Modern Warfare 2 induced another change here within the kill streak system, that being the customization option within kill streaks, where you could pick 3 out of a certain number, and then you could go from there. They didn't have to just be 3, 5, and 7. They went all the way up to the 25 kill streak, which was the tactical nuke, and that was something where kill streaks and kill streak skills could count towards that overall 25. So that said, it was something that ended the game if you got that one, but there were a plethora of different kill streaks available other than just those couple, and it really introduced a new way for players to play in different manners to attain different kill streaks than just 3, 5, and 7. Now, this again later changed then into score streaks, where it was then something that wasn't based off of kill streaks, but instead you had to play the objective, get kills, things like that, where it stressed a little bit more on the objective play rather than just going around and getting kills. So this changed it into kill streaks, then to score streaks, which is what we have to this day, and is something that I think is a little bit better because those kill streaks can still count for something, but it then rewards players that play objectively as well. So that's been a couple of changes with the kill streak system, or rather the score streak system as of now, since the original Call of Duty and COD 4's conception of the idea. Now, the fourth change here is one that you guys will definitely notice, and one that people have massively stressed on over the past couple of years, that being the movement system. Now, let's start back at the very beginning with the original Call of Duty, just for the sake of this to stretch the entire span of the Call of Duty franchise. Obviously, it was boots on the ground back then, but as we mentioned previously, it was something that up until COD 4, the movement system was relatively slow and at a brisk walking pace. There was nothing that progressed that movement system to be faster up until COD 4. So that was the first change in the movement system, and then it was boots on the ground with sprinting and all that, and pretty much the entirety of the movement system that we've known as classic Call of Duty. The fans that will recognize that movement system, boots on the ground but running and still fast paced, and then it all changed with Advanced Warfare. That's when people really started to cry out, and since then we've seen a lessening of it, a gradual decrease in how much verticality, how much extra movement, but still extra movement nonetheless. Advanced Warfare was something that stressed on the new idea of vertical movement and 3D movement, and as a result, the EXO movement system was something that added a lot of verticality to the game, a lot more fast pace, and really made it tougher for a lot of people to get their shots off because there was so much more ground that could be covered to try and dodge gunfights and things like that. So it did help the speed of the game, yes, but it also made it feel a lot less like what people would consider Call of Duty. Black Ops 3 had thruster movements here with this, and it was something that was a lessening of that once again. It did also include wall running, which we still see in Infinite Warfare, but it was something that still was kind of iffy on the reception of it in terms of public reception. But Infinite Warfare was something that everybody was still kind of fed up with it. They had their fill and they really wanted to change, so that's probably one of the reasons why Infinite Warfare is not the best received Call of Duty, but in my opinion at least, the least of the advanced movement here since Advanced Warfare, and presumably next year we'll be going back at that point to boots on the ground. But the fifth and final change here with this one deals with supply drops. Everybody's favorite thing in Call of Duty as of recently, once again introduced in Advanced Warfare. The entirety of the microtransaction DLC system and DLC system as a whole has changed drastically since Call of Duty first started, all the way back with the original Call of Duty. Now, once again, for the sake of this video and the COD franchise, we're gonna start at the very beginning, because believe it or not, DLC was something that was introduced very early on here with this, not per se in terms of micro DLC packs or map packs within a single game, but instead, Call of Duty Finest Hour, the first console installment of Call of Duty, was actually supposed to serve as an expansion pack for the original Call of Duty. Though it wasn't following the exact ties of Call of Duty as a whole, it was not considered at the time a full release of a brand new IP, something that was holding a different storyline but just acts as a side story or expansion of the original on PC. So that said, that was the very first DLC, if you want to call it that, but DLC is more relatively known now for the map packs and things like camos and all that kind of stuff that come in the everyday of Call of Duty. The first initial map pack was actually all the way back in Call of Duty 2. There was the bonus map pack, the skirmish map pack, the invasion map pack, And then in Call of Duty 3, there was the Bravo and Valor map packs, which included different maps of their own. But then the one that probably a lot of people will recognize as their first DLC map pack, air quotes on that, is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare's Variety map pack, which featured Broadcast, Creek, Chinatown, and Kill House in those. So that was something that was pretty much the cornerstone, the father of DLC map packs within Call of Duty, but the model has since changed to go to micro DLC with camos, weapons, and things like that. Black Ops 2 experimented around with this a little bit here, where weapons were available with map packs and then alone by themselves, and you could buy them for physical money, Microsoft points, whatever it was that the console offered here. And then it's since gone to supply drops, which is something where a lot of people are not too keen on this, and rightfully so, because it then takes the entirety of every single thing, some things having thousands of items possible for a single supply drop, and then you take your money, invest it into that, and it essentially becomes a gamble of your RNG luck, and if you'll get something randomly out of this that is worth anything at all. And that said, rightfully so, it is a big concern with players, because then it takes the DLC, whereas you could previously buy it, get exactly what you wanted, you then end up spending much more than you anticipated to try and get something, and then still have a very high possibility of not getting it at all. So supply drops are a huge change since the way that the DLC has gone. Currently, despite the joke of map packs and supply drops, that is not a thing, but the way that DLC works overall, the entire system has changed drastically, and that is gonna round out the fifth and final change here with this one. So that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, once again, 5 of the biggest changes within the Call of Duty franchise. Leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Of these ones, do you think that any should be reverted back? Do you like anything better than others? Whatever it may be, love to hear your thoughts down there. And of course, if you guys have any changes you want to see featured in another episode, maybe a follow-up episode, leave it down there in the comments. But if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything here regarding Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Mastered, and of course, the 5 things that changed. So looking forward to seeing you guys here and hearing your thoughts here on this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Mine's been a cool Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.